Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming today. So to start off today, we are going to start with a poll. Do you know anybody that has ever taken any kind of birth control, or do you have any loved ones that have taken birth control? Okay, a little bit more than I had thought. Now, did any of your gynecologists talk to your loved ones, friends, or family, or even you about the possible side effects? No. Okay. So hopefully today, that is what we are going to discuss today, and hopefully we can increase your knowledge by the end of the speech. So I personally have tried all of these birth controls, the birth control methods that are available other than the Explanon is the only one that I have not had, which is an implant that goes in your arm. I have had the NuvaRing, the Depo-Provera, which is an injectable into an intramuscular part of your body, the NuvaRing, and the oral contraception. I had actually faced horrible consequences and long-term side effects from these, ranging from ovarian cysts, bursting, free-formed fluid in my abdomen, extended and prolonged abnormal bleeding for about 10 months. My whole organs were infected. I actually wasn't able to eat for quite some time. Anything salty or hot was a huge problem. And then I had to have that surgically removed. And once I got that done, they then threw me back onto some birth control, which made it a bigger mess. And then I bled for about 5 more months, and then they gave me progesterone. Progesterone actually put my body into a menopausal state, and am currently seeking treatment for this. And I wish that somebody had told me all of these side effects before I had to live them. This is very terrifying actually, because most people don't get all of these side effects, and it actually affects quite a few women. There are thousands of women that go through this each and every year. Through my research, I went on to many different chat groups of women that have dealt with all of these things. There are lawsuits, not only from Bayer and the Mirena and all kinds of things because of this. It is actually called the Mirena. It is actually called the Mirena withdrawals, basically, which it lists all of the bad things that happen, or all of the side effects that actually happen while you're on it or while you get off of it. There are some women that have had infertility problems for at least 10 years after using most birth control, and that was taken from the chat groups. On here, these are the different effects of birth control that we have. Mood, it affects your mood. Your hair, you can actually lose hair because progesterone and not having the right amount of hormones will throw your body into a negative feedback loop. It causes thyroid problems. It actually directly affects your liver and can change your histology report, which is the study of tissues within your gallbladder. It can increase blood pressure, weight changes. It could increase your risk for diabetes and blood clots. It actually alters your brain. It messes with the function, the endorphins, and it messes with your libido. Because of this, it gives you migraines and headaches. Your skin can break out. You have a higher risk of cancer, which we will discuss later. It increases your risk for heart attacks, vaginal infections. Your bone health actually is a big one. So it stops your osteoclast from being able to continue or rebuild new bone. So it makes your bones more brittle. And it can also open you up to an autoimmune disease such as lupus and Crohn's disease. So those are just some of the side effects that we actually don't get told. So not only do we have this happening, most girls are being put on birth control at a very young age. And because they are being put on this birth control at a very young age instead of being taught safe sex practices, doctors are thinking that this is a way to regulate hormones and prevent teen pregnancies. And once you start on that, it becomes so normal that then by the time you're 27, you've been on it for 10 years and you don't ever think differently about it because one doesn't work. You trust your primary care doctor and you keep trying. So, not only does birth control affect your long lasting, but it also affects your day-to-day health and your mental health. But first we are going to talk about the long lasting side effects that come with the protection in statistical outcomes. The National Cancer Institute actually states that contraception is classified as a carcinogen. Studies have provided consistent evidence that the risk of breast cancers and cervical cancers actually are increased in women who use oral contraception. Women who have used oral contraception for 5 years or more have a higher risk of cervical cancer and than women who have never used oral contraception. The longer a woman uses oral contraception, the more her risk increases. There is a 10% risk for anybody under or using contraception under 5 years. The risk increases to 60% for anybody between 5 and 9 years. And the risk of complications and cancer double for 10 years or more of use. According to the National Fertility Info, in an article titled Top 5 Ways the Birth Control Pill Negatively Affects Long-Term Fertility by Elizabeth Willett. She has a bachelor's in science and women's health, and she is a certified herbologist. She states that taking hormonal birth control will actually disrupt the menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is defined as a luteal phase. That means that it is less than 10 days or a cycle length greater than 35 days. Hormone imbalances that are treated with birth control actually stop receptors from receiving normal hormones. So when you stop doing that, the receptors are only used to receiving synthetic hormones. So it is harder for your body to fix itself, causing negative feedback loops and then causing more complications like throwing your body through menopause or constant bleeding because you're all out of whack. And a lot of doctors are not actually able to test for the baseline of hormones because everybody is completely different. So you actually have to go to a geneticist to get those taken, and then they can do that and deal with all of that. But it's highly expensive, and I mean, it's pretty hard to get in. And this is the exact thing that they go to try to fix, and it causes a bigger mess. Also, according to Women Mag, it causes cervical mucus to change, and 68% of the time it is irreversible, which causes infertility problems because it makes the mucus too thick so that the sperm is not able to actually reach the ovum, which makes it extremely hard to get pregnant. As we have discussed, the IUD can make you develop ovarian cysts, nausea, cancer, and increase your risk of infection and migraines. So while we are dealing with all of these things, it makes it hard for our daily life. So when you're going to school or when you're going to work and you have an ovarian cyst burst, or you're constantly bleeding, or you're not able to eat, or you can't get off the couch because you're in extreme pain, all of these things, or you have cancer, or any of these things, it's really hard to go about your daily life. And it also hurts your wallet, so that's not good either. According to the Women's Health Mag, that it also increases your anxiety and depression. So a huge part of taking birth control is dealing with your brain function and your moods, which is what is changing. It's causing agitation because your hormones are fluctuating and all kinds of things, especially in teens that are still, their hormones are still already regulating themselves, and then we're adding that synthetic hormone already on top of that, makes it way worse. But so it will cause crippling anxiety and debilitating depression. So if you have any of those pre-existing conditions, please do not take your birth control. So in the long run, the long-term side effects actually outweigh the positives, and there are other methods that people can use. These are things that I would just like to inform, because everybody has a right to know what they're putting in their body, and these are things that are not actually being talked about in depth in the office and are a very real thing, but happens to many, many women. So I just want everybody to know that. So now that we have discussed these topics, is there any way that you guys are willing to participate in a poll?
Sure.
Okay, so now that we have discussed all of this information, does this change how you guys felt at the beginning of this speech? Yes? Okay, so that's good. For those who were on birth control, does this alarm anybody, or if they're about to have children or anything like that, does that alarm anybody?
Sure.
All right. So that was the purpose of this speech, was to inform you guys of all of these things that happen, so that you guys are able to make your own decision on what is right for your bodies. So thank you for taking the time to talk about this speech, and I just want to leave you guys with, the next time that you guys are thinking about taking contraception or having somebody that's a loved one in your life, please just try to inform them of the decisions or of the consequences, so that they can make that informed decision. And if any of these side effects do show up, please do not quit going to your doctor. Tell them about it, and don't try to let them dismiss it, because that happens too often. So thank you guys again for listening to this speech, and I hope that you guys are able to take something from this and it opened your eyes.